What do you think men want from women?
From what I see, men are really craving a woman who is attentive to them, who listens to them. When I craving someone who gives some physical touch. Being in the 40s, most of the guys are divorced. I don't meet too many men that have never been married. Out of the 11, only one, no, two was never married. One was really young. He was like 34. And when I touch them, it's like this complete melting of them. They're like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." And you talk to them and you find that their ex-wives were just they withheld sex, they were just mean, they were cruel. I mean, we're talking just and of course, I don't know what the wife's side is. I don't know what they did as well.
Hmm.
But have them to listen to them compliment them. I like your watch. Oh, I really like your beard. Oh, it's so soft. Oh, you smell really good. Men don't get that anymore. They get, "Oh, you're terrible," and I don't ask about their of course, their job, I don't ask about their money.
Hmm.
I let them lead. I They pick the place to go. I said, "Absolutely, sounds wonderful.
Not
I'll meet you there."
not so much on like the short term basis where you're dating, but like when
Mhm.
I ask you, what do you think that men are looking for, like more on a long term
Yeah.
basis, that would turn them into a boyfriend committed sort of long term relationship.
What I thought that they needed was an independent woman who could come with their own money
Hmm.
and,
You're basically describing a dude at that point.
yes, exactly.
Independent, has their own money, has their own car, has their own house, right?
That's what I
Professional.
was
Yeah.
told, that's what men wanted.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
not. When I think about someone who you say this a lot, compliment their life, when a lot of men can't cook, so they want somebody that can cook a home cooked meal,
Hmm.
someone that is who is dedicated to them. They have confidence, they feel comfortable, they don't feel like they are competing with other dudes, that you're a committed woman, that you are there for them, that I think that they wanna feel like you think they're a manly man no matter what it is that they're doing,
Hmm.
that you find them physically attractive, whether that is you tell them that or you demonstrate that through, other physical actions.
Hmm.
Um, but not someone who's gonna nag and all day long. Um, the longest relationship I had, every time he came home, I was sitting at the door and waiting for him and opening up the door. "Hey, I'm so happy to see you. Thank goodness you're here."
Hmm.
And you think about what most people come home to, and they get home to, "Hey, what's up?" And go, something, and that's what I think men want
Okay.
long term.
Okay. Well, I mean, you've got some idea. I mean, there's a little bit of neediness, though, right? I mean, like the way that you're describing the one of the relationships you had in last year, it had gone for a couple of weeks, and then you had to have this sort of talk a few weeks in. Um, I think that you want to wait a little bit before you're, hey, where do we stand? Sort of
Yes.
thing, right? Like you want to sort of get to a month or two of dating, I think is reasonable. Within a few weeks, a little bit of a push. I think most guys out there, if they were dating a gal for a week or two and she's like, so where do we stand? They'd probably be like, you need to chill the fuck out because I barely
It's
know you.
It's interesting because, it was actually it was he had went out on a date, um, and it was after we were talking, and I said, "Well, if you've already made a date with somebody, we just started talking. I don't expect you to cancel the date."
Hmm.
Then afterwards, I said, "Are you gonna ask her out again?" And he could have said, "I don't know, I just wanna take it slow," but he said, "Well, what do you want?" I said, "Well, I guess if you really wanna know." I'm like, I want a committed relationship. That's really what I want." And then he agreed to it. So, my thought is always, well, if you weren't willing to, why'd you ask? Because there's either 2 points. I want something or I don't want
Mm.
something. So,
Yeah, you
yeah,
have to
I feel like
understand though. A lot of guys are very uncalibrated when it comes to dealing with women in long-term relationships. They really suck at it. They're like, we've spent years trying to fix this now. I've got 1,500 videos out. I've got 200 podcast episodes out collectively. I've got two versions of a book out. Another one I'm working on. I've done as much as I possibly can in the time that I've been around, and it's very very difficult to try to calibrate guys to that. So I could understand you having a conversation where you're like, hey, so you're seeing somebody else, and it's like, what do you want? You go, and it's like, oh yeah, let's be a thing, and you sort of just jumps right down it. I could see that happening.
mhm.
Um, so it's tough for women too, right? Because guys don't know how to lead, they don't know how to calibrate themselves to relationships. It's not easy. Moffat, I will be working towards fixing that with a course this year that will walk guys through it step by step, because it gets pretty exhausting having to repeat ourselves over and over again. So,
Mhm.
but I can understand what you're saying there. So, to sort of clarify that, because I wanted to sort of see where you're at, there's really three things that guys want. Okay. They just want to know that you're useful to their lives. Like some of the things that you're saying, like they want to, they want to know that you're touching them and that you like them, that you're loyal to them. That's kind of a given. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like if you're with a guy and you've had a conversation about, where you guys stand sort of thing,
Mhm.
it's kind of understood that if you've done that, that he's expecting you to only deal with him, right? That you're not seeing other people.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to overtly state it. Like some guys will have to, overtly say to women, like, okay, if you want to claim me, that's fine. If I see you out with any other guys having lunch with, with ex-boyfriends, like I don't deal with women like that, right? Like
Right.
some guys will have to spell it out, or they'll have to correct the behavior if, she hangs out with exes from the past and has lunch and stuff like that. Those sorts of things, which could lead to deceit or her breaking the, the overt contract that you've made. So they want gals to be useful to their lives, believe it or not. Can you cook? If I'm busy and I'm working on something project wise and you have time and you see a pile of laundry, can you run it through, the machine for me? These are all things that piss off feminists because they're like, oh, how dare you do something for the express pleasure of a man, sort of thing. The patriarchy's been oppressing you. It's like, no, that's just being a nice person. Like when I take you out for dinner and show you a good night, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Right. So all of that narrative that gals have heard about, doing nice things for men, take it all, beat it with a stick, take it behind the house, bury it 6 feet under, and just be done with it. Because the kinds of guys that are really gonna like blow your hair back and really crank your wheels and get you really attracted to them are going to be thankful and are going to want to see you more if you're useful to their lives. So being useful is incredibly important. Um, being respectful is so important to dudes. Women totally underestimate this. They'll taunt men. They'll flick boogers at them. They'll do things to irritate them. They'll banter with them to the point where it's not even witty banter or even fun. It's like, you're trying to compete or you're trying to be like a dude, right? It's like I will, like me and Moff when we're together doing shit, with the boys. It's like there's witty banter, and that's how men sort of like bond and do things. But I know that women have been raised now, and through culture and Hollywood and society and music and all this sort of stuff, they've been convinced, oh well, you should be like witty bantering men the way that men do men, sort of thing. And it's like, no, we don't want that. We want respect.
Mhm.
We
And
want you to be
women
useful.
don't banter with each other normally. Like
Yeah, they
I've
don't.
seen this very rarely. Like women don't do this whole back and forth kind of shit talking to one another because they take that stuff really seriously. So it's always women that talk about, oh, I want witty banter, this and that. But you know, it's interesting because we do that in our own men's circles because and there's a reason behind it. It's about I want to see what this dude's made of. I want to see if he can
Right.
take it. I want to
Because we
see
want
if
to
he
test
can
each
give it
other.
back. We want to test him and see if he's a competent dude that can handle himself. And women are hardwired to do that too, shit testing or competency testing. But the little jabs and the paper cuts, like they add up. And to them, they want a guy because women love a guy that can has the gift of gab and is witty and that can flip them on their head and you know joke circles around them and stuff like that. Because wit and humor is an indicator of intelligence, and those are positive signals. But it's one of the worst things. Like it's just such a huge turnoff when from a guy to hear like just yeah he just chirps and this and that, and it's like, look, I got to hear this all day from my buddies that are running their mouths, or I got to listen to clients that are unhappy about this and that, and that are into like the last thing I need is that from you when I come home, or we're going to go out on a date. Like it's just I get enough of this during the day. Figure out a way to turn that off.
And men want peace. And
Mhm.
I think that women have been, misled and, been told that men want to be challenged. I was, I don't know if you know who Danica Patrick is, but,
Yeah, I
one of the,
saw that one. Yeah.
like one of the points
Mhm.
of contention that she had is, well, don't men want to be challenged? Like, don't they want like somebody that's, got a backbone to them, sort of thing? And it's like, no, We don't. We want peace in our life. We don't need you to run us up the flagpole when we come home, or, be challenged over something like that. So I think women vastly underestimate the respect component of long-term relationships and how that is sticky to a guy. Guys will keep gals around that show respect for them. Not it's forced or they're acting it, it's natural, right? Like they
Mm-hmm.
naturally, show respect for this guy. They'll introduce them to friends and family circles, and there's a clear, level of respect. Like, if you sit down at a table at one of their family events, you go and make him a plate and bring it to him at the table, sort of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So small gestures, as far as use and respect, are super important. But the other thing too is, and this is something that Dr. Orion Taraban highlighted in one of his videos, and he said something, along the lines of, you have to be willing to do the filthiest, most disgusting, and sexiest things in the bedroom that you've never done with any other guy that you'll only ever do with him. Right? Because we live in an era today, I think, where women have been with multiple guys. I think it's kind of accepted, or it's men that are forced to accept that, women have shared their bodies, with multiple men. Okay, fine. We don't generally like the idea of running the numbers through our head and going, well, was it 20? Was it 30? Was it 60? Was it 100? But it's now, okay, well, what does she do with all those guys that she's not doing with me? So you have to be willing to give him what he wants in the bed, as long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting him or others. And
Mm-hmm.
it's something that he likes, that gets him like revved up. Be willing to do it, but be willing to do it enthusiastically. So, to the point of your mom's story that, she told you when, she was younger, where there was a lawyer guy and then there was your father, sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And, the first thing that came to mind when she started to describe that story, Moff, what was it? You're muted, sorry.
The story was what?
With the lawyer, what was the first thing that came to your mind? First thing for me was Alpha Widow, pining
Oh,
for the
when she
guy from
was,
her past that she couldn't
yeah.
lock down.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know what you're
So
talking about.
so he was the guy that she wanted, that she couldn't lock down, that she always thought about, that she had hoped, would take care of her and let her stay home and be a mom, and she didn't get that. So there was a degree of contempt,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they say that contempt is like the clock that clicks down to the end of the relationship. When you see a woman have contempt for a man, or even the other way around, but it's usually a woman that has, contempt for a man in public, it's very obvious. It's like, she's literally disgusted by him
Mm.
and annoyed and turned off and frustrated with him not being able to follow, these things. So
That's a
again,
good point.
so being useful to his life, doing everything nasty in the bedroom, and being respectful. So being, you talked about a few of these things, like not nagging him, sort of thing.
It's
Um,
I'll tell you a story that, well, after I did it, I realized, oh, Jocelyn, why did you say that? I I was looking up one of the guys I was dating, his address and the
mhm.
value of his house, and I was with him, and I said, you know what? I looked up the value of your house. My house is worth more than yours. And afterwards, I said, "Why in the world did you do that?" That was, y'all. I know. I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm getting there. I'm getting
Yeah.
there. That was just so stupid. I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
It's
but
it's
that's what.
like, look at Moff's,
Oh
reaction
my
to that.
God.
You
Yeah.
know, that's like saying,
That's
my car's better than your
crazy.
car. I make more money than you. My house is bigger than your house. My house has 10-foot ceilings. Your house only has 8-foot ceilings, sort of thing. And you
Hmm.
still got popcorn on your ceilings. Come on.
But then I tried to, after I realized, I was like, oh, it's just because of location. I'm closer to Atlanta than you are.
But
That's why.
were you trying to be funny? Like, I don't know, like, where did that
I
even
don't
come
know.
from?
I don't.
So
I
that's
was
it.
trying.
That's an
Yeah.
element of disrespect.
Yeah.
Yes, it really was.
Yeah.
There was no reason for me to say that. I mean,
and
I
you
was
and you
nothing but,
aren't even in a long-term relationship at that point. So
yeah.
how do you ever get to the long-term relationship if you're in the dating phase and you're like, hey Bob, we're having a good time tonight, but by the way, I looked up your place on Zillow and my place is worth more?
Self-sabotage.
He's gonna
Yes.
be like, yeah, okay.
Maybe it's that old creeping up of of the whole girl boss thing. I'm so good. Why you should have a great house, you know. Why
Yeah.
would you want to talk to anybody else? I have this great house, you know. I have all these check off lists, and
Yeah.
why would you not want
But I
this?
mean, women never really share their pot of gold with the men. You know, they'll do nice things. You know, they'll pick you up a coffee. They'll pick up the drinks maybe if you're going out for a date sort of thing, and you grab the dinner. Like there's stuff like that that typically happens, but women don't generally say, "Hey, you know, move into my house, take your $40,000 a year job. Don't worry about it. You know, move into my $150,000 lifestyle. Don't sign a prenup and let me share all of this shit with you.
Yeah.
Take the Tesla, you know, whenever you want, sort of thing, right? Like
Yeah.
women don't generally operate like that. So when guys see a woman that has more than they have, they might target you like a sugar mama, right? Like they might want to use you or try to extract
Yes.
from you. There are guys that will do that.
Yeah.
But I
They
mean,
did
why would
that.
you go out with a bum that's, you know, worth nothing? I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here and pin down below in the top comment. You'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.